Hi, my name is Michael Gier with Silver Dove Films, and today I have a great interview for you. It's with Bruce Marchiano on the set of his new film, Allison's Choice. Now, before we get to that, I'd like to tell you about our next upcoming feature film project called Wounded Warriors. The film is an action drama that will show the horrors of war, not only on the battlefield, but also when they come home. The film is about the reconciliation between father and son, and a young veteran's attempt at resolving issues related to PTSD, and the alcoholism he has used as a crutch to deal with it. It's a film that will honor our military and bring more awareness to PTSD. Believe it or not, PTSD takes the lives of 22 veterans a day. That's one every 65 minutes. Veterans are reluctant to get treatment for PTSD because of the negative stigma and the limited public awareness. It's a sad fact that 50% of the veterans suffering with PTSD go untreated. But our film hopes to change that statistic by bringing more awareness to the public. But to get this film made, we need your help. Go to the film's website, woundedwarriorsmovie.com, to get more details about how you can help. And while you're there, you can also watch our promo video. The best part is we're going to be giving away 50% of the film's net profits to organizations that benefit veterans. All right, let's get to the interview with Bruce Marchiano. I know you're going to love it.
30 Foxtrot, take 2, mark.
Action.
Hi, I'm Michael Gier on the set of Allison's Choice with director, producer, and writer Bruce Marchiano. And this is actually the clinic where you've been filming.
This is it. Yes. We're actually filming in an empty, vacant office building, and this room has just been transformed into the clinic waiting room. So
yes. Now this is the first time you've written, directed, produced, and starred in a movie. So that's a lot of hats to be wearing.
It's a lot of hats to be wearing, and I'm just very thankful. I'm surrounded with incredible talent. And I'm talking about the cinematographer, I'm talking about my editor, I'm talking about...
Listen, before you go on, the editor is an Academy Award winning editor. That's amazing.
It's beyond amazing.
Yeah.
It's beyond amazing. His name is Scott Conrad, and I like to introduce him. I say, Scott edited a small film you may have heard of called Rocky.
No!
Rocky.
Oh my gosh! Classic.
And that's just one of his films on that level. He edited A Star Is Born with Barbra Streisand. I mean, so many movies, but Rocky is what he won his Academy Award for. And I got a call from his agent saying, I'd like to introduce you to an editor. Okay, what's his name? Okay, great, And then I realized who it was, and I called the agent back. I go, "Are you kidding me? Why would he want to do this movie?" And the agent said, he's just very passionate about the project and the message of the movie. Can you send him a script? And I sent him the script. And he came to my funny little office. We're on a low budget here, so I had a funny shared space office in the dregs of Hollywood. And he lives in Malibu, And he said, I'd like to come to your office. No, don't come here, I'll come to you. He said, no. And he actually came to that funny little office and sat with me and just told me how much he wanted to be part of the project. And I am just incredibly honored. And it's a testimony to the way the Lord does things. And that scripture that the Lord does exceedingly abundantly above and beyond anything you could ask for or dream of. And I can promise you, to have Scott Conrad edit my film is that.
And your DP, cinematographer, is Philip Hearn, who's an Emmy Award winner as well. And then you were going to mention some of the others that are key players that are doing a great job for you.
Oh, yeah. Joth Riggs, our first assistant director. Just a tremendous guy. And his job is very specific and very important. He basically runs the set. He's got to keep things moving. He's got to keep things on schedule. And Joth is so highly skilled in leadership. He's done big-time things. I was just so thankful that he wanted to be part of the film. And you mentioned Philip. This is a big-time cinematographer, and he's making this film. Without him, we'd get this level film with him, we're getting this level film.
Yeah.
Just some shots we shot this morning. I'm watching on the monitor and I'm crying tears at the emotional impact that's coming through the camera. So I'm very excited. And that's kind of my thing. You surround yourself with veterans, you surround yourself with highly skilled people, and you cut them loose to do their job. And that's kind of how it's going.
What's interesting is we talked about this film a little over 2 years ago when I first interviewed you, and you had said you had been thinking about this project for something like 20 years.
Yeah.
So what's it feel like to actually be finally doing it?
You know, I get so moved every day, and it's true. People have often asked me, through the years, let's do a project together. You got any ideas? And I would always say, I have this idea of Jesus manifesting to a young girl who's going to have an abortion and just pleading for the life of her baby. The years went by. I had this idea. I probably wrote 25 outlines and things like that. And then one day you're there and it's actually happening. And there are many moments when I could just cry tears, at the end of the first day of filming. And you know what the first day of filming is like. Nobody knows each other. Everybody's trying to find their place and
find the groove.
Yeah, find the groove, and yet it's actually moving. The wheels are cranking slowly, and you're exhausted by the end of the day. You're covered in perspiration and fatigue and all this kind of stuff. And everybody was gone, and I went to get my jacket, and my jacket was hanging on this thing. And there was this chair sitting alone. And this is, I hope I,
can portray it correctly.
And my name was on it. And my jacket was hanging here. My script was sitting here. And it was like, wow, Lord, you're something. You're something.
Yeah.
So, the Lord is just something.
Yeah. That's a powerful moment.
Yeah.
And to see a dream realized because of God's grace.
Totally by God's grace. This is, the story of how this film got made. There's no investors behind this film. There's no big money behind this film. I just appealed to my brothers and sisters in the Lord. I want to make a film with a message that in the Lord's hands has the potential to save babies' lives. And from all over the world, Michael, people started to step forward and give $5 here, $10 here. I got a baggie full of change from some kid, in upstate New York, and just a little handwritten note. I mean, just brings tears to your eyes, and put it all together. And collectively, as the body of believers across nations and denominations
who believe in the cause,
funded Allison's Choice.
I know you're still raising money right now during production. I'm sure you're going to be raising money into post-production because it takes quite a bit of money to make a movie like this. And it's been great that people have been able to give, and I know you're still continuing to hope for more, correct?
Yeah, thank you for that, Michael. And please, if you're so moved, I'd be a fool not to say, please give, But it's very, very difficult. My assistant, she lives in Indiana. She lives in a small town in Indiana. And, she has no understanding of the film business and the film world and what it takes to make a movie. And so this process has been a revelation to her. She just had no concept of how complicated it is, how work intensive it is, and how much money it costs. So she's constantly saying, wow, what an education. And I say that because I think that folks who are outside of this industry, they just have no concept of the enormity of what it takes to make even a small movie like this, and the costs and the day-to-day costs, and then little things go wrong because nothing goes perfect, so you got to fix it. Well, it costs money to fix it, and you got people working overtime, doing 3 jobs to try to save money on salaries, and there's just ongoing costs. So after we finish this production phase, we go into post-production, which, as you know, is a very expensive process.
Yes.
Editing, sound editing,
coloring,
ADR
if needed, which I won't even get into, but it's something that technically that needs to happen with many movies, which is expensive. You have to get into a recording studio.
You got to go into a recording studio. You got to bring all the actors in, and all these things cost money. You got to feed people, the equipment. We had one shot we wanted to do, but the piece of equipment we needed to rent was $650 for the day. And it was like, we can't afford that, so we had to write out that shot. And anyway, going into the post-production process, I'd just be humbled and blessed if you just continued to help make this movie continue to happen.
Yeah. God's going to use this movie. It's going to change lives, and every person who's given or donated of their time or whatever they've done to help contribute to the project is going to, I believe, be blessed by God as a reward for being part of such a wonderful message and changing lives.
Without a doubt, the Lord is faithful, and He's watching, and He sees, and there's just promise after promise of His goodness toward people who care enough about Him and His kingdom and His purposes to step out and do something about it. And it's neat how the movie is already impacting people. One of the crew guys, last night I was so tired. I was just heading for the door, and a guy stopped me, and he's a lovely guy. And we stood there for about a half an hour, and he said, I used to be, I kind of pro-choice. I was into abortion. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But watching you film these scenes, he said, I realize how terrible it is. It's a terrible thing. He's totally turned on that. And then he also said, when the filming is done, if you don't mind, I'd like to have a cup of coffee with you and just have a talk about God. And because I see some things, and I'm hearing things, in the scenes that you're doing that I didn't know before. So the movie is already having an impact.
That's great.
I can't tell you how many people working on this film, and I'm talking about Christians, believers, some of them, who have come forward with tears and said, I was Allison. I was Allison. And just the tears and saying, it's such an honor to be a part of this movie. I've heard that from several sources.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the movie, and it's exciting, and it'll be great when it comes out. And more importantly, thank you for taking the time today to talk about it.
It is an absolute pleasure, and it's an honor. I used to teach this guy acting classes.
Yeah.
When was that? That would have been 1980. Something.
It's been 20 some odd years, 25. I don't even know. It's been so long.
It was in the 80s.
80? Oh, yeah.
He was my student.
Isn't that funny?
He's just a little bit better than he was back then.
No, only because I learned it all from you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, exactly. Actually, we got a movie coming out this year, RZ9, and I play one of the leads in it. It's my first lead in a feature film.
As it should.
But I've got a lot of projects going on when I'm acting, and a lot of it all started because of my acting coach right here.
I'm very, very thankful. I'm very, very thankful. Yeah. And he's one of the few acting students that actually paid his bill at the end of the month.
The actors are probably known for that, right?
Yeah, really. Can I get you next month? Can I get you next month? He was the one guy who paid me every month. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. All right. Well, thanks again, Bruce.
Thank you. Thank you very much.